The grandfather clock in the corner tolls 7 times as I rush up the front path to the Grand Colonial on Maple. Hollow Lane. Snow crunches beneath my boots, my breath puffing into small white clouds in the sharp December chill. I'm late again and gripping a tiny wooden jewelry box I carved by hand. A peace offering, or at least an attempt at one. Samantha. Finally, sweetheart. Grandpa Thomas engulfs me in one of his crushing hugs the second I step inside. His silver hair is combed neatly, and the comforting scent of his aftershave feels like a warm blanket around my shoulders. How do you like your house? Everything the way you wanted? Conversation halts instantly. Dad's fork clinks against his plate. Tracy, my stepmother, freezes mid-pour, her wine balancing dangerously close to overflowing. My house. The words scrape up my throat like dry bread. Grandpa's smile flickers. Frown lines deepen as he glances from me to Dad and back. The place on Sycamore. The one I wired the funds for last month. Dad stands abruptly, napkin slipping forgotten to the floor. Dad, not now. Samantha just got here, and the food will get cold. Tracy's hand trembles as she sets the wine down. Lily, my half-sister, blinks wide-eyed, clearly clueless. She doesn't know either. My stomach drops. Something is terribly, horribly off. The dining room with its glittering chandelier and polished mahogany suddenly feels like a stage I walked onto mid-performance. Everyone has their lines but me. I think of childhood nights in the cramped attic while Lily sprawled out in her princess-themed room. My mother died giving birth to me, and Tracy arrived when I was 4 already pregnant with Lily. That was when it began. Lily at the center, me orbiting like space debris. There's no money left for you, Dad had said when I got into architecture school. His expression then no remorse, just mild irritation still stings. I worked nights at Joe's Diner for 3 years, drafting floor plans on napkins between orders. My studio apartment barely fits a bed and a drafting table. Their invite to Christmas dinner had felt like progress, a sign I finally belonged. How foolish I was. Tracy clears her throat. Sam, why don't you tell everyone about that little art class you're teaching? Her forced cheer burns my cheeks. This time, though, I don't shrink. I'd rather hear what Grandpa meant. Grandpa rises, palms flat on the table. I wired $480,000 for a house on Sycamore Street. Richard told me it was for Samantha a graduation gift. His voice slices through the silence. But clearly my granddaughter knows nothing about it. Dad laughs stiffly. It's temporary. We're just managing the property until she finishes school. It's complicated. Then simplify it, Grandpa says. My gaze drifts to the wall of framed family photos, vacations, birthdays, milestones. And I see it plainly. I'm missing from nearly all of them. The few that exist were taken when Grandpa visited. You've been using me, I whisper. I was only invited when Grandpa was coming. Dad says nothing. Tracy stares at her dessert spoon like it contains the secrets of the universe. The money was for Samantha, Grandpa says firmly. Not for an SUV or Lily's equestrian lessons. I see it now. Dad manipulating Grandpa's generosity. Tracy climbing in social circles with borrowed wealth. And Grandpa, despite living miles away in Denver, being the only one who's ever shown me real affection. Pack your things, Samantha. You're coming back to Denver with me? His words land like a verdict. Dad, please. Don't be dramatic. We're still a family. But his voice wavers with something that feels like intimidation. I stare at the family portraits, 3 bright smiles, where a 4th should have been. A puzzle piece that never fit. I'll get my coat. I say, my voice steady. Upstairs. I pause by Lily's doorway, her huge bedroom, a glaring contrast to the attic I grew up in. I don't hate her. She's a piece on the same board, just one with better moves. When I come down, Grandpa waits by the door, keys ready. Dad is red, whispering heatedly. Tracy dabs invisible tears. Ready? Grandpa asks. I nod, holding the little wooden box, my gift no one will ever open. I carve the maple lid with delicate snowflakes, remembering winters making snowmen with Grandpa before Dad declared I was too old. Outside, the frigid wind bites at my skin, but it feels cleansing, healing. The house glows with colorful Christmas lights, another pretty illusion. Your mother would be proud, Grandpa murmurs as we walk to the car. She never let people trample her. The mention of her warms me. I have only stories and fading photographs, but right now, I feel closer to her than ever. Grandpa holds the door open, then pauses. We can fight this. Legally, that money is yours. I think of the years of exclusion, the fake invitations, the journals full of hope that they were finally choosing me. Lies, all of it. Some battles aren't worth the fight. I say quietly, as he drives away from Maple Hollow Lane. I don't look back. Some families aren't worth bleeding for. But as Grandpa squeezes my hand, I realize some absolutely are. 3 days later, the truth spreads across Grandpa's granite kitchen island like a crime scene. Bank statements, transfer receipts, each document another wound. My hands tremble as I flatten the wire transfer slip. There, Grandpa says, tapping the memo line. Samantha Carter home, purchase, nearly $500,000 meant for me sent from his account to my father's. Money I never touched. A house I never walked into. Look at this. He slides printed emails across the counter. Messages from Dad pretending to represent me, discussing Samantha's house, making decisions on her behalf. My stomach knots. He spoke so easily about my future while quietly stealing it. Property records show Tracy as the sole owner of the Sycamore house. Then Grandpa lays down another document, his voice like stone. A power of attorney. The signature yours. The scribble bears no resemblance to my handwriting. No, I breathe. I never signed anything like that. Forged, Grandpa says darkly. A federal crime. Behind him, the Denver skyline glitters, oblivious to my world collapsing. 3 days, and every hour unearths another betrayal. He opens his laptop. There's more. My accountant pulled these. A spreadsheet shows withdrawal after withdrawal from Samantha's trust, Lily's private school fees, family vacations to Europe, Tracy's designer clothes, your college fund, Grandpa says. I opened it when you were born. It should have had nearly $300,000. Richard drained it long before you even applied to school. I picture my tiny studio, the double shifts, the student loans choking me, while Lily rode horses and Tracy enjoyed spa retreats on money meant for my future. And this. He shows me another page. My mother's inheritance. A small amount, but still something she wanted me to have. $42,000. Gone used to remodel their main bathroom, I remember. Tracy bragging about Italian marble while my apartment's hot water sputtered after 3 minutes. Then Grandpa clicks again. A credit card in my name. That one's $23. My credit. My identity ravaged, and taxes, Grandpa adds grimly. Money reported as gifts to you, even though you never received it. You could owe thousands. I press my hands to my face, overwhelmed. How could they do this? Richard orchestrated it, Grandpa says quietly. My son and Tracy? An accomplice. She shut you out unless I was visiting. Built a narrative that you were distant, uninterested. Antisocial, I whisper. They called me that too many times. And Lily? I ask, thinking of her easy smiles, her privileged world built on money stolen from me. She benefited, Grandpa says, without ever questioning where it all came from. Thomas' features soften. She's a casualty too, just in a different way. I walk toward the window and rest my forehead against the chilled glass. Below, Denver moves steadily, Cars threading through the streets like veins carrying life through a body. What happens now? I ask quietly. Richard could face charges for fraud and identity theft, Thomas replies. If this becomes public, Tracy's reputation will crumble. And your credit score. It's a mess, which could affect your architectural career. He exhales heavily. And they're threatening to fight any financial help I give you. The weight of everything crashes over me. My future, my work, my family, all dangling from threads I didn't know were already frayed. I found something while you were sleeping, Thomas says, retrieving a worn portfolio from his office. Inside are stacks of childhood sketches, buildings I designed at 8, 9, 10 years old. Rough drawings of skyscrapers, bridges, homes with intricate layouts. You kept these? I ask, voice tight. I always knew you were the builder in this family. He murmurs. Not Richard chasing schemes. Not Lily with her marketing degree. You. We stand at the window together, staring at the Denver skyline, towers rising into the clouds, the work of people who once only dreamed them. Something loosens inside me, something I've held tightly for too long. A decision begins to form. I'm finished begging for worth from people who never saw mine. Finished trying to earn love that should have been freely given. That night, I sleep deeply, no grinding teeth, no knotted stomach, no spiraling dreams. Just quiet. Morning arrives with clarity and unexpected allies. Thomas introduces me to the dean of a university architecture program. His lawyer friend Morgan begins unraveling the fraud and identity theft. At lunch, I meet Evan, a classmate whose kindness comes without any hidden conditions, a stark contrast to the relationships I grew up with. Could use someone part-time at the development firm. Thomas mentions later over coffee, someone who understands business and design. Interested? By evening, I've met a study group that welcomes me without hesitation. Seeing value in my work instead of questioning my place. The next morning brings the hardest task of all, filing a police report against my own father. The officer takes my statement calmly, outlining the investigation process. You should freeze your credit immediately, she advises. Morgan walks me through every form and confirmation, helping secure the parts of my life my family failed to protect. The protections feel like armor, solid. Finally. Meanwhile, my phone vibrates endlessly. Voicemail after voicemail from Richard. How could you do this to your own family? After everything we sacrificed for you, you're making a terrible mistake. Tracy posts vague rants on social media about ungrateful children and family loyalty, with her followers flooding her comments in sympathy, unaware they're comforting the woman who helped drain my inheritance. I block every number, Richard, Tracy, even Lily, who's confused. Messages prove she still doesn't understand what they did. The silence that follows is like breathing clean air after years underwater. That evening, Thomas finds me on the balcony. This is only the beginning, he warns. They won't give up easily. I know, I say, watching the city shimmer as dusk settles. But I won't give up either. For the first time, I'm fighting for myself, not for their approval. And though the cost is steep, the family I thought I had is gone for good now. I finally understand what Thomas meant when he called me the builder. Sometimes you have to dismantle what's broken before you can create something stronger. The pounding on Thomas's development office door turns violent, rattling the frosted pane. I freeze mid-sketch as Evan places a steadying hand on my shoulder. I know she's in there. Richard's voice booms through the wood. Samantha, this has gone far enough. My pencil snaps in half. 2 weeks since Christmas, and the harassment hasn't stopped. Yesterday, my psychology professor pulled me aside, looking worried. Your mother called about an emergency, she said. Is everything okay? Tracy isn't my mother. And there was no emergency, just another attempt to disrupt my life. Thomas rises, shoulders squared. Stay here, he orders gently. He opens the door just enough to block Richard's view. This is a professional office. Thomas says, calm but firm. If you want to speak with my granddaughter, schedule an appointment. Don't lecture me about family, Richard snaps. Relatives are calling us nonstop. Even Aunt Marjorie says Samantha needs to make peace. Peace requires truth, Richard, something you've never been acquainted with. I inhale for 4 counts, exhale for 6, grounding myself. My phone buzzes with more notifications, tearful Instagram stories from Lily about how our family is falling apart. Hundreds of strangers pitying her, judging me, clueless about the truth. Have you seen the reviews they're posting about your development company? Richard's voice lowers, dripping with menace. Accusations of cheap materials, delays, poor workmanship. That could ruin your business, Dad. My chest tightens. They're attacking Thomas now because of me. When the door finally shuts, Thomas returns, pink-cheeked but still composed. Well, he says, attempting humor, that was invigorating. They're posting fake reviews about your company, I blurt. The guilt is immediate and heavy. Because of me. Thomas waves it off. Reviews don't build homes, Samantha. Craftsmanship does. He gestures toward my architectural model on his desk, a design that earned department recognition last week. This is what matters. Speaking of which, the Wilsons called again. They specifically requested your input on their home design. A spark of pride displaces my anxiety. Really? He smiles, really. And Professor Bennett mentioned an internship possibility. You're being seen, Samantha. I trace my fingers along the model, a sustainable small home blending practicality and beauty, inspired by every hiking trip with Evan. Each one building my resilience and shaping my aesthetic. Your mother would be ashamed. Richard's words echo in my head that afternoon as I leave class. He's standing in the middle of the campus walkway, arms folded. Students slow, sensing a confrontation, my pulse races. But I keep walking. I raised you for 23 years, he says loudly. And this is how you repay us? By poisoning Thomas against me? I didn't turn anyone against you, I reply, my voice surprisingly calm. Your choices did that. His face reddens. Your mother would be ashamed of what you're doing to this family. Something inside me clicks, not anger, but truth. She'd be ashamed that I was invisible for 23 years. Gasps ripple through the onlookers. Students gather behind me, forming a shield. You okay, Sam? Melissa from my study group asks. Others chime in supportively. Richard glances nervously at the crowd. This is a private matter. Then why confront me in public? I fire back when campus security approaches. Richard backs away, pointing at me. This isn't over. But it is, in ways he hasn't realized yet. That evening, Thomas calls. I terminated Richard's partnership extension, he says. The paperwork is filed. What? What does that mean? I ask, curled on my new apartment couch, a gift from Thomas. It means your father no longer works at my company. Morgan's cease and desist letters have been delivered. And thanks to Evan keeping records, every harassment incident is documented. Evan smiles from the kitchen where he's cooking dinner. My study group has formed a protective ring at campus events, ensuring I'm never cornered by Richard or Tracy again. Samantha, Thomas says gently, you weren't the problem. Remember that. When the power shifts, it happens brutally fast. Richard's position, gone. Tracy, forced to work for the first time in years. Lily, drops out of college when the tuition money disappears. Their luxury life cracks and collapses as reality settles in. Meanwhile, I keep building. My architectural portfolio grows. My journal fills with healing and progress. Thomas installs security cameras around his home. Just in case, he says when I protest. Sunlight warms us as Evan and I hike our usual mountain trail. The physical challenge feels cleansing. At the summit, he looks out and says, "Beautiful." But his eyes are on me, not the view. Something inside me breaks open. The tears come hard and fast, years of hurt, longing, rejection pouring out. I still wish they had left me, I confess, the words dragged from a deep, wounded place inside me. How ridiculous is that? Evan doesn't reach for meaningless sympathy. They never do. They never learned how to love anyone in a real way, he says evenly, direct, steady, true, not even themselves. We sit together, saying nothing, watching the sun sweep gold across the valley. A view that shifts everything, literally and figuratively. Back in Denver, Thomas and Morgan are laying groundwork for long-term stability. A quitclaim deed for the Maple Hollow Lane property is nearly finalized. Thomas is revising his will to secure my inheritance. My university portfolio reflects a sharp rise in technique, drawing attention from professors and local design firms. The sustainable housing proposal holds real potential. During critique, my professor remarks, "Your technical proficiency has improved tremendously." I'm forming connections without flinching, without anticipating rejection. Now the friendship's forming feels sincere, not contingent. When Tracy calls, the superiority in her tone is gone. "We're about to lose everything," she blurts, panic threading every word. Richard's drinking again. Lily refuses to get out of bed. "We need your help with Thomas." Old Samantha would have folded instantly, desperate to be accepted. The woman I am now doesn't. "You'll only acknowledge me when Grandpa was watching," I respond, calm and certain. That evening, a notification pops up. The quitclaim deed has been officially handed to Richard. I finish the last strokes of a concept sketch for a future project, one funded by the eventual sale of that house, something durable, purposeful. Thomas leans in to look, pride softening his features. "You're building more than structures," he murmurs. I nod because I feel that truth. I'm constructing a life on my terms, one immune to theft or dismissal by people who never valued me. The following Tuesday morning, sunlight pours through my blinds as Morgan sets a stack of legal files on my kitchen table. Every page is another layer in the barrier I'm constructing between who I was and who I'm becoming. "They've been served," Morgan announces, brushing a strand of silver-laced hair behind her ear. Her sharp eyes soften briefly. Richard looked like he'd seen a ghost when I delivered them. I slide my hand across the top page, a formal demand transferring the Sycamore Street home to me, the rightful owner. "Did he say anything?" I ask, voice steadying itself. Morgan smirks. "He tried to charm his way out of it. Men like him cling to old tricks." She taps the blue folder. "These financial documents confirm the fraud. Law enforcement has the full record now." My phone vibrates. An email from the Credit Restoration Agency confirming they've begun repairing the damage Richard caused to my credit. Another ping, the architecture department acknowledging my scholarship submission. I'd used my experience converting personal fractures into professional strength. Professor Jenkins pushed me toward it. "Your lived perspective informs your vision. Use it, Samantha." Morgan's voice cuts through my thoughts. "Are you prepared for what comes next?" Richard won't surrender quietly. Her words linger like smoke. Am I prepared? Half a year ago, I could barely look my father in the eye at dinner. Now I'm reclaiming what's mine. I'm ready. The war starts sooner than I think. By mid-afternoon, Grandpa Thomas calls, fury clamped beneath his voice. "Richard's telling everyone I'm senile," he growls. "Says I forgot what the money was for. That you're manipulating me." The pain in his voice slices through me. "We expected this," I remind him, and myself. "Dr. Harlow will do the cognitive assessment tomorrow." I shouldn't have to prove my sanity to my own son. His exhaustion breaks something inside me. I know, Grandpa. I'm sorry. Don't apologize for defending yourself, sweetheart. After we hang up, my phone explodes with alerts. Tracy has contacted a local news outlet with fabricated claims of elder abuse. My stomach twists as I scroll through her post, tagging me as the villain. Campus offers no safety either. During my advanced structural design class, Lily storms in, cheeks streaked with tears, drawing everyone's attention. How could you make us homeless? She cries. The theatrics fit for a stage. Dad says we're losing everything because of you. Professor Jenkins rises. Campus security now? Her instruction is absolute as she gestures toward the emergency call button. Later, Evan escorts me to my car under a deepening indigo sky. Your sister certainly knows how to perform, he mutters, scanning the lot for trouble. Half-sister, I correct automatically. And yes, she learned from experts. I glance at my phone 3 voicemails from distant relatives I barely remember, insisting I drop the legal case for Thomas's sake. Evan tilts his head at the screen. More flying monkeys? An entire circus. I tuck the phone away. Richard and Tracy have convinced everyone I'm destroying the family for a payout. So what are you going to do? The question lands heavily. What am I doing? Fighting an ever-expanding battle? Trading peace for justice? I'm going to class, I answer finally. I'm focusing on the design competition. I'm choosing to live my life. Evan smiles faintly. Nothing infuriates them more than your refusal to react. The next morning, a text from an unknown sender appears. Drop the case or Thomas's business irregularities from 2016 become public. Cold fear spikes through me, but I forward it to Morgan without replying. Another piece of evidence. In the studio, Professor Jenkins reviews my newest draft, fingertips following the angles of my sustainable housing design. You're creating safety, she observes softly, not mere shelter sanctuary. Her words stop me. I hadn't deliberately intended that, but the protected courtyards, the transparent yet private walls, the multiple exits, they revealed the truth. My architecture mirrors my healing, I admit quietly. She nods. Boundaries aren't barricades, they're foundations. Your work expresses that powerfully. Later, Evan examines the model beside me. You don't design for applause, you design for safety, he says. That's rare. I add broader openings, clearer sightlines. Light threads through the structure like honesty cutting through shadow. That evening, Morgan calls. Richard's accusation sparked a full forensic audit. His attempt to smear Thomas detonated in his face. Everything shifts quickly after that. Tracy's smear campaign turns against her when friends question her narrative. Lily loses her university privileges after her disruptive scene and harassment. Their attempt to access Thomas's medical charts is flagged by hospital security. When Richard and Tracy try to rally the extended family, their support collapses as people recognize the manipulation. Local business leaders release statements defending Thomas. The university dean publicly praises my architectural prowess during a showcase. Tracy's social circle crumbles, disturbed by her unhinged posts. Professional boards refuse Richard's membership renewals as rumors of fraud spread. They're unraveling. Evan remarks as we watch Richard and Tracy argue at a community fundraiser, their masks slipping entirely. Look at them, they can't even hold the illusion together. Thomas's business partners issue a formal statement of confidence in him. Evan leads a campus petition condemning harassment. Morgan secures a restraining order against Richard and Tracy. My department highlights my design work, and developers from Denver offer mentorship. The final unraveling comes when Richard faces looming fraud charges for misusing not just Thomas's money, but funds from multiple investors. Tracy's curated social reputation collapses. Lily has to get a part-time job for the very first time, posting furious rants about her toxic parents who lied to everyone. The foreclosure notice hits the Maple Hollow Lane mansion the same day. I learned my design was selected for a sustainable housing initiative. The symmetry feels almost lyrical. That evening, Grandpa Thomas and I sit on his porch, watching the sunset wash the Denver skyline in gold. He lifts his coffee mug in a small salute. To foundations, he says, not illusions. I tap my mug against his. To truth. Behind us, my architectural scale models catch the dimming light structures built not for spectacle, but for longevity. Just like me. On Monday, Tracy's name flashes for the fourth time. I ignore it again, letting it fall to voicemail while I adjust facade revisions for my university competition. The timestamp reads 7:48 p.m. Samantha. It's Tracy. Your father's in the hospital. The doctors think it might be his heart. He might not make it. Please call me. Even after everything, he's still your father. I set my pencil down, exhaling at the tremor in my fingertips. The doctor said none of that. Morgan confirmed Richard's hospitalization was simple stress exhaustion after receiving the settlement papers yesterday. Manipulation, textbook level. A knock at the door breaks my thoughts. Through the peephole, I see Lily on my doorstep, eyes red, clutching her designer purse like a flotation device. What are you doing here? I ask through the cracked door, chain locked. Sam, please. Her voice splinters. Dad's in the hospital. Don't you care? The manipulation trickles all the way down the family tree. I open the door but block the entrance. How did you get my address? Does it matter? Our family is falling apart. There's an email thread with the relatives talking about Christian forgiveness. Even Pastor Williams called asking if you'll talk to Dad. Oh? I almost laugh. Pastor Williams from the church Dad donated that new wing to last year. The one we only showed up at when Grandpa visited. You're being cruel. Lily's voice firms, hitting her rehearsed beats. Dad might die thinking you hate him. Oh, I don't hate him, Lily. I just finally see him clearly. The pressure tightens in my chest again. I've had these spells since Christmas. Thomas caught one yesterday, concern carving deeper lines into his face as I pressed a hand to my sternum. Lily eventually leaves, but the pressure campaign continues. Richard's lawyer calls the next morning while I revise my drawings. Miss Carter, this is Lawrence Myers representing your father. I have a settlement proposal that could resolve this unfortunate dispute. His tone carries the polished ease of someone who cleans up Richmond's scandals. I already have representation, thank you. I hang up, silence my phone when it rings again. Later, my buzzer echoes. The church pastor stands at the entry, Bible in hand, preaching prodigal children and Christian mercy. I decline politely. The next day, Tracy calls again. We're contesting Thomas's will. You've poisoned him against his own son, his own blood. Morgan assures me they have zero legal grounds, but the constant barrage of accusations and guilt clouds my mind. I miss 2 days of class. My competition deadline edges closer as my family chaos crescendos. Even Evan's parents start questioning his involvement with my supposedly troubled family. Old doubts rise like specters. Am I overreacting? Should I give in just to quiet all this noise? Then Thomas suffers a minor heart flare. The doctor calls it stress angina, nothing critical, but enough to terrify me. I sit by his hospital bed, watching the lines on his face deepen, seeing the weight of Richard's betrayal etched in him. I'm dropping the lawsuit, I whisper, gripping his hand. It's not worth your health. Thomas's eyes open slowly. Don't you dare. We finish what we started. His resolve steadies me. That night, I return to my drafting table, pushing through until dawn stains the skyline. 2 days later, it happens. A courier delivers the notarized quitclaim deed while we eat breakfast. My hands tremble as I read it, Morgan's promise fulfilled. The Maple Hollow Lane house is legally mine. We did it, I breathe, hardly believing. Thomas smiles, tension melting from his shoulders. Morgan delivered. That afternoon, Morgan arrives with a hefty folder. He spreads paperwork across Thomas's dining table, detailing the leverage that forced Richard's compliance. I gave him the entire financial fraud timeline, Morgan says, color-coded tabs revealing his precision. It was enough for criminal charges. We kept that as the bargaining chip. The property transfer stands as partial restitution. He gestures to a university document. Your architecture scholarship is secured, contingent on the boundaries we've set. The no-contact order is enforceable. They can't come near you, Thomas, or the campus. I examine the logs of Tracy's posts, Lily's campus disruptions, Richard's manipulative messages, all preserved meticulously. What happens to them now? I ask. Morgan adjusts his glasses. Richard has been suspended from his professional boards pending ethics review. Tracy's social circles are collapsing as the truth spreads. The community firmly supports you and Thomas. That evening, the university calls. My design has won the competition. Thomas recovers enough to attend the ceremony, watching as I accept the award that will launch my career. The next day, I list the Maple Hollow Lane house with a reputable realtor Thomas trusts. The proceeds are already assigned, part for tuition, part for my sustainable housing project. Will you be offering any aid to Richard's family? The realtor asks. No, I reply, steady and free of bitterness. News filters through acquaintances. Richard and Tracy are separating under the financial collapse. Their luxury lifestyle is gone. Lily moved in with a friend and works retail now. Meanwhile, I focus forward. Thomas introduces me proudly as his protege at industry events. 3 weeks later, the realtor calls. The house sold for $520,000, $40,000 above what Richard paid. After I hang up, my phone shows a voicemail. Lily's number. Sam, it's me. I get it now. I'm sorry. Really sorry. Her voice is softer, stripped of privilege. I'm working at the mall. It's not awful. I don't call back yet, but I saved the message. Thomas discusses retirement, hinting that I might take a larger role in his consulting firm. The seed funding for my architecture career is secure. Possibilities open wide before me. The question lingers over dinner. What does real family look like now? Neither of us knows, but for the first time, we get to find out together. I glance at Thomas across the table. I'm thinking of calling Lily. He nods, understanding warming his eyes. Family is what you choose to build. I place my hand over his weathered one. I choose this. 2 years later, morning sunlight pours across my drafting table. From here, the Denver mountains rise against the horizon, a constant reminder of perspective. I trace the lines of my sustainable housing blueprint, pride swelling inside me. 3 months into my internship at Westfield Architectural Solutions, and my concepts are already turning heads. My phone buzzes Evan's name. Unlike months ago, no anxiety follows, only warmth. Still on for dinner? He asks. Absolutely. Thomas is bringing that wine he swears by. And I perfected my grandmother's lasagna. After we hang up, I return to my project, a community housing plan using local materials and solar integration. The sustainability director called it inspired yesterday. 2 years ago, praise like that would have made me search for hidden criticism. Now I receive it without fear. That evening, laughter fills my apartment. Thomas sits at the head of my table, silver hair glowing in candlelight, as he debates theory with my study group. Evan helps in the kitchen, our movements easy and respectful. No pushing, no demands. Just partnership. So, Samantha, my classmate Jordan asks between bites, what's your family background? You never talk about where you grew up. The question lingers. Once it would have frozen me. Now I smile. I'm building my family now, I say, gesturing around the table. Some you're born with, some you gather along the way. Thomas's proud smile says everything words can't the house that should have been mine. The one my father and Tracy hid from me funded this new start. Thomas's mentorship supplied the rest guidance, connections, unwavering belief. After dinner, while the others clear plates, I step onto the balcony. City lights glimmer like scattered stars. In my journal, I wrote this morning, I don't need to earn belonging anymore. 7 words, 23 years to learn. When Emily, a first-year student, joins me, her eyes are wet. My parents say architecture wastes my potential, she whispers. They wanted medicine. I feel so alone. 2 years ago, I would have absorbed her pain like it was mine. Now I listen, offer resources, keep my boundaries intact. You can care without losing yourself, I tell her. Sometimes the kindest choice is standing firm. Back inside, my phone lights up. Lily, can we talk sometime? I miss you. I weigh the words. The old Samantha would have replied instantly. Now I type, when you're ready to build something real, I'll be here. The mountains remind me daily how distance reveals true form. My design, featured last month in Sustainable Architecture Quarterly, hangs framed beside my newly earned diploma. The housing project breaks ground next month. Thomas beaming in the audience at graduation flashes through my mind. Later, after everyone leaves except Thomas and Evan, we discuss a possible business partnership. My sketchbook lies open, early designs for my future home unfolding across the page. You've come a long way, Thomas says, eyes soft with pride. I think of the journal line from this morning. Family isn't who you're born to, it's who helps you build your life. For the first time, I understand what it means to be seen.